Hello everybody, in today's video I'm going to be doing a bit of an experiment, kind of test on all three of the Cubicle's best lubes, trying combinations and all that kind of stuff. Now they recently made a video explaining exactly what these lubes are all about and telling you a bit of the process and like why there's a ball bearing in here. It's really well done. I'll link that at the top of the description down below so you guys can see, because I'm just going to do a test on some cubes, and if you want to know the actual like science around it, go ahead and watch that video. So I'm going to need 7 cubes that are completely dry, all the same, and never been lubed or even turned. So all 7 of these puzzles are exactly the same. They've never been lubed. They all have the same tensions, all that kind of stuff. So we need to make 7 different variations. So these are the 7 cubes I need to make. I need to lube one with Lubicle 1 only, DNM 37 only, Silk only, and then Lubicle 1 and DNM 37, and then Lubicle 1 and Silk, DNM 37 and Silk, and Lubicle 1, DNM 37 and Silk all put together. So with these 3 lubes, these are the combinations you can do, and I'm going to try it out on 7 of the exact identical puzzles and see what I prefer. So just to go over this really quick, Lubicle 1 does have Teflon in it, and it does have repairing agencies, but it is a very thin lube. As you can see here, it drops and it spaces out really thin. Even though DNM 37 is a water-based lube, it doesn't space out very much at all. It's basically like where you put it is where it stays. It's a little bit thicker, and I was kind of surprised by that, to be honest. But the thickest one out of all is Lubicle Silk, and I'm very glad that they brought this back, because this is like, it's my all-time favorite lube, and it is very thick. As you can see here, it comes out thick and then it drops and it does not move anywhere. So let's go ahead and test them all out. Alright guys, so I have lubed each of these puzzles with what's on the paper, and I'm going to go through each of them and tell you how they feel and which one I prefer over the others. Now keep in mind that these puzzles are not, expert speed cubes. These are 7 of the 500 that I unboxed. They're very low budget, cheap cubes. I would use really expensive cubes, but I don't have 7 unlubed, never used expensive cubes. So this is basically the only way I can do it. Anyways, let's go on with Lubicle 1. So Lubicle 1 obviously is the Teflon puzzle, and these things move terrible before I put lube in them. I've done about 3 solves on each of them just to work the lube around. This one is definitely really fast. The sound stays the same. So with Lubicle 1, you're not really changing the sound as if you would with, say, Lubicle Silk, for instance. But a really nice feeling puzzle. For a budget cube that turned terrible when I first got this thing, it definitely turns really nicely. Yeah, it makes it a really fast cube, and it lasts for a long time. So DNM 37. So obviously this is a water-based lubricant, and it gets its moisture from the air, as I'm sure you guys know. So it's like Maru, and it makes your cube really fast. To me personally, it's faster than Lubicle 1. To me, it does slightly, very slightly change the tone of the cube, as in like the sound of the cube. But it's a very fast lube, and it lasts a long time. So to me, it's faster. It's not as thin as Lubicle 1 when it spreads out, but it is a faster lube. So if you're looking for like really fast, this is definitely the way to go. So we'll go on to Lubicle Silk now. So Lubicle Silk definitely does change the tone of the cube. It makes it a little bit quieter and a heck of a lot smoother. It is the thickest of all the lubes. Yeah, it is definitely quieter than, say, this one here. Hear how loud that is, and then it's quieter. It is much quieter, and it does exactly basically what it's called. It makes it, give it a silky feeling. It glides really nice. I used to use Lubicle Silk back in the day, and then I think they discontinued it for a while, and now it's back, which is really what this video is about. Lubicle Silk is back, which is great because they've got 3 really good lubes now, and the combinations that you can do are really nice. It's got some speed to it, but it's definitely not as fast as, say, Lubicle Speedy, for instance, or Lubicle 1 or DNM 37, but it's got its own place. So far, my favorite is this one out of these three. Yeah, it's definitely still really, really fast. It's just got a really nice silky feeling, and that's, I think, exactly where the name came from. Okay, the next one is Lubicle 1 and DNM 37. So I put the Lubicle 1 in before I put the DNM 37 in, and the reason I did that is because Lubicle 1 has a Teflon in it, and it's made to recover the cube with little minor scratches and stuff. And I wanted that to be touching the plastic first to make sure that that's what filled in, and then I put the DNM 37 on top. So in my opinion, DNM 37 is a faster cube, or sorry, a faster lube than Lubicle 1, and the Lubicle 1 is really, really good for the Teflon, obviously, and for speed. So right off the bat, it is definitely quieter than a stock cube. Let me get a stock cube, actually. So here's a stock one. Now, keep in mind that it is unlubed, and it's gonna catch, and that's gonna create extra noise, but basically it is really loud, whereas this one is much quieter. You can hear that. It's much, much quieter. To me, it's got a really fast feeling, but it's almost smooth. It's not quite like Lubicle Silk, but adding Lubicle 1 and DNM 37 together creates a really, really nice combination of speed and control. All right, so the next one is DNM 37 and Lubicle Silk. Now for this one, I put the Silk in first because it is a thicker lubricant, and then I put the DNM 37 on top of that. The reason I did that is because I think that the thicker one is going to stick to the plastic more, and then the thin lube, the DNM 37, is just going to kind of like glide across that. Whereas if I put the DNM 37 in first, that the silk would kind of like scatter around in an uneven way because it's sitting on top of a really thin layer. It's sort of like putting thick paint on top of thin paint. It doesn't spread very well. Whereas if you put thin paint on top of thick paint, it stays where it's supposed to go. So that was my reasoning behind that. And this one here, you know, I remember this one now from when I was solving. It really does have the components of silk, like that silky feeling of it, but it's also got more speed, and that has to do obviously with the DNM 37, which I think is the fastest of all three lubes. So it's got that really nice silky feeling, but it's got much more speed than just silk alone. Silk is very easy to also over lube, so I made sure that when I did these doubles that I only put a little bit of each, not as much as I would for you know, a single lube, because you don't need as much because you're adding two different types of lubes. But yeah, it's a very, very silky, fast feeling. When you do your U slices, they basically, I mean, this is a non-magnetic cube. It's like $1 or something, but it lines up really nice. It's not gummy. It's still crisp, but it is definitely not like a stock where it feels blocky. And that's one thing I find that Lubicle Silk helps, is in a blocky feeling cube, it kind of evens that out. And when you're turning corners, you don't really feel that blockiness as much. Adding the DNM 37 gives you more speed on top of that. So next we're gonna go to Lubicle 1 and Silk. So again, my thinking with this was to put the Silk on first because it's thicker, and then the Lubicle 1 on top of that. But the Lubicle 1 also has Teflon abilities to repair your cube, basically. And I don't know if that's gonna be touching the plastic or if it's just gonna mix in and kind of like, I just don't think it's gonna do exactly what it's supposed to do. You've got two lubes here that I think should be on first, and I had to choose one, so I choose the thicker one. But it does give it a really nice silky feeling. It's not quite as fast as this one. I tried to even out the lube jobs as I went, but it's still a really nice lube. Like, this is a really good combination, guys. The singles obviously are good by themselves too, but the combination ones, when you add two of these type of lubes together, it's really good. And I thought maybe it wouldn't happen, you know, maybe it wouldn't be good because you're adding, you know, some water-based lube also with silicone lube, and how's that going to interact? I mean, I'm not Chris Tran. I don't have a science degree or whatever degree he has that makes him so good at what he does, but it is a really, really nice feeling cube, very controllable, but I do find that it does tend to overshoot a little bit sometimes when I'm doing my use. It's not as good as the other one. Now I've checked the tensions, all the tensions are the same, so I think that it's that Lubicle 1 like really thins out and covers a lot of area, and I think that mixed with the Lubicle 1, it creates a little bit of an uncontrollable cube. But overall, it's a very nice feeling cube. All right, and last but not least, I have one that is mixed with all three of them. So my thought process with lubing this one, again, was to put the silk in first because it is the thickest, and then I put the second thickest, which is the DNM 37. It's a water-based lubricant. You can see in the drop test that it did not space out as much as Lubicle 1. So I put that in second, and then I put Lubicle 1 on top of that. And I don't know if Lubicle 1 is going to have its Teflon abilities being used in this because it is kind of mixed with all the other stuff. I could do a test on that later on. But so far, it's a really nice feeling cube. It is extremely quiet now. It's much more quiet than, say, the stock. You know how loud that is compared to this. It's definitely like, this cube is blocky, right? That's why it doesn't like corner cut like super good. It locks up, right? With this, it gets rid of that blocky feeling. It's the Lubicle Silk that does that. And then I've got that controlling speed that I had when I did the Silk and the DNM 37. It's a really nice feeling puzzle, controlling speed. When you do your U layers, everything lines up, as you can see, unlike the Lubicle 1 and Silk. So I'm gonna I honestly say that the one with all three is my favorite. Mostly because it gets rid of the blocky feeling of this puzzle, and also that it's controllable. It's very controllable. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. It's honestly just perfect for where I'm at. Obviously, don't take this test absolutely too seriously because this is just my opinion, and these are very low budget cubes. So again, my favorite out of all 7 is the one that's lubed with all 3. My second favorite is Lubicle Silk and DNM 37. Now, if I was to pick between these 3 puzzles that only have 1 lube each, I'm going with Silk, absolutely. So if you're looking to just get one of them, I do recommend Silk, but also think about your turning style and what I said about these and make your choice that way. But my favorite out of the 3 is Silk, and if I was to just pick 2, it would be this one, and if I was to really just lube it however I want, definitely all 3 of them. Now, you can get these individually or in packs at thecubicle.us. I will link that down below in different links. There are some bundles that you can get. There's like a small one, there's a big one. You can get them individually. I'll list them all down below. You guys can use Crazy Bag Cuber discount at checkout for 5% off your order as well. This was a fun video to make, guys. Let me know what you thought about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.